Hello everyone, here's another story. This one is called Little Acorn. When I was just an acorn, nobody noticed me. I watched the world below go by from high up in my tree. I nestled under cozy leaves and sheltered from the rain, growing fat and shiny when the sun came out again. When the summer faded, the leaves turned golden brown. "Bye-bye, acorn," said the leaves, floating to the ground. "Wait for me," I called. Then ready, steady, jump! Whee! I tumbled through the air and landed with a thump. Squirrel was collecting nuts for his winter store. He hid me carefully away beneath the forest floor. Underground, everything was snugly and still. I waited very patiently for time to pass until I felt a sudden change beginning deep inside. "I'm feeling so peculiar. What's happening?" I cried. "You're growing up," said the worms, all wriggling about. "When acorns fall into the soil, at some time they will sprout." I giggled as I felt tickly, teeny tiny roots, and before I knew it, I had sprouted little roots. I started to stretch up, wiggling left and right, reaching up and up till I pushed out into the light. Warmed up by gentle sunbeams, my little leaves unfurled. I was so excited to be back out in the world. As the weeks and months passed by, I grew and grew and grew. Squirrel spotted me and said, "I've been looking everywhere for you." The seasons changed, and so did I. In sunshine, rain, and snow, my branches stretched, my trunk grew tall, my roots spread far below. Among my sturdy branches, the birds built cozy nests. My twigs and leaves made soft, warm beds for my feathered guests. Spiders weaved their sticky webs, and beetles scurried by. Squirrels scampered playfully and made their homes up high. The creatures of the forest had never seen a finer tree. I wondered, would there ever be another one like me? Then one breezy morning, I woke up with a yawn. Ooh. I stretched my branches, and out jumped a special little acorn. Hello everyone. Here's another story. This one is called The Life of a Little Plastic Bottle. I was sitting with the other bottles lined up on the shelf when a customer got thirsty and took me for herself. I was happy to be useful as she carried me along, gulping at the water until every drop was gone. But she didn't put me in the trash. She took me to the sink. Whoosh! She turned the tap on. I didn't know what to think. The water really tickled. I'd never felt like that before. The tap went off, my lid went on, and I was full once more. Snug inside a rucksack, I went all the way to school. I gave my owner lots of sips of water to keep cool. At break time while the children played, I sat beneath a tree. How nice to see so many other bottles just like me. I heard a squeal of laughter, and someone plucked me from my spot. They let me join in with their games. It made me laugh a lot. But when the sun went down, the children all went home, and I was left there on the ground, cold and alone. Suddenly I heard a voice and woke up with a flash. "When will those children learn to put their rubbish in the trash? Come on, little bottle, you can help me show them how." The teacher picked me up. I wondered what would happen now. The teacher told her class they shouldn't throw plastic away. Reduce, reuse, recycle is by far the better way. To show them how, she worked on with me with scissors, glue and string, and made a lovely bird feeder for bluebirds on the wing. One windy day, I toppled down and landed on the ground. I stayed there for a while until a fox came sniffing around. "Please don't eat my lovely string or give my spoon a chew." "Don't worry, little bottle. I'm just passing through. I can't eat you. You're not food. You'll just make me sick. Wild animals like me can never eat plastic." The fox went on his way, and I was alone once more. Then someone else came walking by and picked me off the floor. They put me in a bin with bottles of every size. They wondered what would happen next. It was a big surprise. Next morning we were gathered up by a garbage crew. They took us into a factory where we were made brand new. I could have been, well, anything, a brush or ball or model. But I became a bright and shiny, brand new plastic bottle. The end. Hello everyone. This story is called Little Raindrop. When I was a raindrop, I lived up in a cloud. One day, thunder rumbled by and boomed out very loud. "Come now, little raindrops, get ready to let go. You've got important work to do down in the world below." A flash of zigzag lightning streaked across the sky. "Ooh!" cried all the raindrops. "See you later, cloud. Goodbye." They jumped into the air and I jumped with them too. "Have fun," said Cloud. "I wish that I could come along with you." Down and down we fell, giggling and shouting, "Whee!" Oh, what fun to be a raindrop flying free. From high up in the sky we saw the earth below. Sunbeams shone through us and made a lovely big rainbow. After that, quite suddenly, I landed with a splat and dribbled down the tail of a soggy farmyard cat. I seeped into the soil, trickling down and down, past pink wriggly worms far below the ground. I saw a friendly mole who was digging by some shoots. Sloop! Before I knew it, I'd been sucked into their roots. I travelled slowly up the stem. It was quite a climb. "Hello," smiled the flower bud. "You're here just in time." "This way," the flower told me, and then it opened wide. What a nice surprise to see my raindrop friends inside. We had so much fun, sharing stories of our day as the warm sun slowly set and the light faded away. We tried to count the stars instead of counting sheep, but the petals were so comfy that we all fell fast asleep. When the morning came, the sun shone hot and bright. We all felt quite peculiar, sort of wibbly and light. Slowly we drifted upwards. There was no way to resist, for I and all my raindrop friends had turned into a mist. "What's happening?" I asked, floating higher with the crowd. The others laughed and smiled. "We're going back into our cloud." "Welcome back," said Cloud. "I hope you all had fun. It's time for you to rest now that there's lots of sun. But soon the wind will blow again and turn the weather vain, and you'll have more adventures next time it starts to rain." The end. Hello everyone. I hope you're nice and comfortable. I'm going to read to you a story called The Life of a Little Cardboard Box. Folded flat inside a warehouse surrounded by my friends, I waited till a worker filled me up with odds and ends. I was so excited. What adventure would I find? "Goodbye," I called out to my friends as I left my shelf behind. Finally, my time had come. They put me on a truck. I felt a little nervous. Where would I end up? I was handed to a little girl, much to her delight. She pulled a tape off, tipped me out, and pushed me out of sight. A little later, someone filled me with some other things: a teddy bear, a few old books, a too small pair of jeans. They carried me along the road, then stepped inside a store. They took the old things out to sell, then off we went once more. This time I joined some other empty boxes in a car. We wondered where they'd take us, and were we going far? We wound up in a nursery, bright and full of noise. We were going to be reused as brand new cardboard toys. The children in the nursery covered me in glue. They added coloured paper and some paper stickers too. I was a speedy rocket ship. They were astronauts in space, and we had to beat the aliens in an intergalactic race. Eventually, it had to end. I began to fall apart. They put me outside by the bin. It was getting dark. A kitten crawled inside me and curled me up for the night. I closed my lid to keep it warm and waited for first light. When morning came, a truck came by and off the kitten ran. I was carried to a factory where recycling was the plan. They turned old cardboard into things like bags and books and blocks, and I became a brand new, sturdy, handy cardboard box. Hello everyone. This story is called Little Chick. I started in a cozy egg, all snug and warm within. I tapped and pecked and made a hole. The light came shining in. At last, the eggshell cracked in two. I wiggled my way free. "Hello there, my little chick," my mummy said to me. "You must be hungry," Daddy said. "We'll bring you food to eat." He came back with a wiggly worm. Oh, what a lovely treat. Day by day I grew, till I was big enough to fly. I felt so scared. I was so small, and we were very high. "Help!" I cried. "I'm falling." "Just flap your wings," said Dad. I tried it, and I soared up. I felt so very glad. My feathers touched the tops of the trees as I flew across the sky. Everything looks very tiny when you're flying up so high. Not long after, Mummy said, "The leaves have begun to fall. We're going on a journey now that you're no longer small. We're flying somewhere warm for winter. It's really for the best. So shake your tail and flap your wings. It's time to leave the nest. We joined hundreds of other birds and soared across the sea. We flew miles and miles. We flew and flew far from our cozy tree. The city was too noisy and the forest was too still. But this waterfall is perfect, I chirped with a trill. For months we stayed down in the south till I was fully grown. Then springtime came around again. It was time to fly back home. Along the way I met a friend. We made a lovely pair. We built a nest together, a home for us to share. It wasn't long before I laid 5 eggs, all smooth and round. I kept them warm and snugly, high above the ground. One day I heard some noises, little cracks and creaks. My eggs were hatching, and out came 5 fluffy little chicks. Hello everyone. This story is called Rainforest Explorers. Max and Rosie were going to the rainforest on a very important mission. What are we looking for? Asked Max as he clambered aboard the seaplane. Orangutans, said Rosie. They're very rare kinds of ape. Scientists want to know how many are left in the world, and our photos will help them work it out. With a whoosh, the plane took off, and soon they were soaring over the ocean. So where are we going? Asked Max, taking the controls. Sumatra, said Rosie. It's one of only 2 places in the world where orangutans still live in the wild. That's a long way, said Max. Good thing we have plenty of fuel. At last they found themselves gliding over the rainforest. Dense trees grew everywhere, crowding thickly together. There's no ground anywhere, said Max. Now I see why we came in a plane that lands on water. They touched down with a splash in a slow, shallow part of the river. They tied their plane securely to the bank, then hauled their kayaks onto the water. Let's go, said Max. I wonder where we'll find orangutans, said Max as they paddled along the river. Well, the rainforest has 4 layers, said Rosie. They won't be in any of the top layer, where the tallest trees poke out. Birds and butterflies live there, but only tiny monkeys can climb that high. Perhaps they'll be in the canopy, the thick layer of leaves and branches. Most animals in the rainforest live in this layer. Or perhaps they'll be in the understory, the dark, damp layer of ferns and shrubs. Or maybe on the forest floor. We might also see elephants or even tigers in this layer, said Rosie. Wow, tigers! Suddenly, it began to rain. Max and Rosie quickly dragged their kayaks ashore. They ran to find shelter under the big leaves of a banana tree. Rosie was about to sit on the floor when Max suddenly cried, Wait! Don't sit down! You'll crush the bugs! Max pulled out his magnifying glass and leaned in close to peer at the creepy crawlies under the banana leaf. Beetles were busily breaking up dead wood, and giant millipedes were munching on fallen leaves. What are they doing? Asked Max. They're recycling, Rosie said. When trees and leaves die, bugs and beetles break them down. The food goes into the soil and new plants use it to grow. The rainforest wouldn't exist without mini beasts. Soon the rain cleared and Rosie and Max trekked on through the forest. Then Max stopped suddenly. "Ooh, what's that stench? It's like rotting meat," he said, holding his nose and following the smell. "A rafflesia flower! It's enormous!" he cried. "Look, this one's even bigger!" cried Rosie, standing at the foot of a giant lily. "It's a stinking corpse flower. I wonder why it smells so bad." As they watched, a thick cloud of flies swarmed around. "Oh, I know!" cried Max. "All plants need insects to help them grow. The disgusting smell attracts flies by tricking them into thinking there's rotten meat nearby." "That's clever," said Rosie. "But I don't know how flies can like such an awful stink." Max caught sight of something. "Look," he cried, peering through his magnifying glass. "I found some footprints, but they're too large to be an orangutan's." "Only one animal makes a mess this big," said Rosie. They followed the trail of broken branches and trampled trees and found elephants. "They're paddling in the river to get cool," said Rosie. Max snapped a photo of a baby elephant spraying water. "This is great picture," he said. "But there are no orangutans here. Let's keep going." As Rosie and Max trekked on, there was a sudden deep rumble. "Is that thunder?" Rosie asked, looking up at the sky. Max shook his head nervously. "I know what that noise is. We better hide, quick!" They scrambled behind a rock and peeked out, just as a huge tiger prowled past. Two little cubs followed behind her, playing and pouncing at butterflies. The tiger gave another thunderous roar. "It's so loud," whispered Rosie. "Shh, she'll hear you," hissed Max. "We still haven't seen any orangutans," said Max when the tigers had gone. "Maybe we should try climbing up higher." They scrambled up into the trees, swinging from vines and clambering onto branches. With one last heave, they reached tall treetops far above the ground. All around them, monkeys of different shapes and sizes chattered and screeched. One monkey with a long, droopy nose started combing through Rosie's hair. "What's he doing?" she asked. "He's checking you for fleas," said Max. "I haven't got fleas," Rosie giggled. But Max sighed sadly. "The sun's going down," he said, "and I think we've run out of time to find orangutans." Max and Rosie climbed back down from the trees and put up their tent. As night fell, tiny lights twinkled in the trees. "Fireflies!" gasped Rosie. The daytime creatures had all gone to sleep, and now the nocturnal animals were waking up. "Watch out!" cried Rosie. A huge creature with great big wings swooped down over Max's head. "What was that?" Max asked. "A flying fox," said Rosie. "Except it's not a fox. It's a giant bat." Max stared open-mouthed as the bat flapped away. At last, Max and Rosie curled up in their sleeping bags. "Oh, we've seen so many amazing things," said Max, yawning. "I don't mind that we couldn't find any orangutans." sunrise, Max and Rosie heard a strange tapping noise coming from just outside their tent. They crawled out to see what it was. "Orangutans!" they both gasped. At the foot of the tree, an orangutan sat and cracked nuts, using a rock as a hammer. Around her, young orangutans played and swung from the trees. When they saw Max and Rosie, the young orangutans dropped down from the canopy and clambered towards them. "Say cheese!" Max said as he took a photo. The orangutans screeched with laughter when they saw the picture. At last, the orangutans swung away through the treetops. "I was starting to think we'd never find any orangutans," Max said. "They're very rare and getting rarer all the time," said Rosie as the two explorers started making their way home. "We're lucky to have found them." The end. Until next time, bye-bye.